You are listening to Cogent Radio, and it's time for Trigger Warning!
Hello. Welcome to Trigger Warning. I'm Hayden Hewitt, and we're recording this on Sunday night at 11 p.m. This is not the usual podcast that you get with myself and Graham, Mr. Showbiz Casual Racist Booth. We just got a bit giddy and thought we'd do some more, and about 10-15 minutes ago, I decided, yeah, let's go for this. And then about 5 minutes ago, I decided that this was probably a terrible idea. But I'm doing it now, so I guess we got no choice. If you're listening out there on Cogent Radio, do head to triggerwarning.tv/live, where you can interact with other miscreants who should probably be in bed, and we can try and make this as interactive as we can. What are the plans for this podcast? I've got no clue. No idea whatsoever. Just did it, spur of the moment, see if we like it. If we don't, we can all pretend this never happened and go back to our usual schedule. I'm even sat here wearing headphones, and I honestly don't know why, but I have learned very, very quickly that sitting waiting to go live whilst on your own is far more uncomfortable than the last minute panic that we usually have. Let's have a look in chat here. We've got Graham trying to troll me. Oh, bless. Got Happy Dog, Mr. Kill C1, got Bob Stew, of course, Elisa, Aphidlip, good to see you, mate, and a couple of Anon Triggerists as well. That's nice. Graham's asking, where's the funny one? Funny as in hashtag racist. Oh, bless. By the way, in hashtags, do get them up. Remember, hashtag Graham is a racist, hashtag Je suis rape unicorn, hashtag the gammoning. That'll be nice. It's nice to see you. I would give you an email address, but I'm not going to read your emails. So there we go. Right, some things to talk about before we get on to all trigger warning-y stuff that I've contractually obliged to go through. Contract with myself, I guess. Been a lot going on. I mean, usually you'd worry, wouldn't you, that, well, if we do a podcast on Sunday night and that comes out on Monday, then we got the podcast Tuesday, comes out Wednesday, and we got the TV show Thursday. Are we going to run out of stories? Then I realised we never run out of stories. We just run out of time. But me sitting here on my own and not having Graham to play with, that sounded quite wrong, actually. Yeah, but not having Graham to play with, it'll probably make me crack on through these things a little bit quicker. I guess the first thing, and we may cover some of these in Tuesday in great depth, but the first thing is the final Say March in London yesterday. Apparently nearly 700,000 people joined the march for the People's Vote, and they were seeking a referendum on the final Brexit deal, which, for those of you who are unaware, means if our government can't make a deal or come up with a deal, we then have to put that vote to the public to see if they like the deal. And if they don't, I think we're supposed to start again. Regardless of what the EU thinks or anybody else, we just start again until we get a deal that they like. And it just so happens those nearly 700,000 people have a deal they like very much, which would be, let's get rid of Brexit. Let's just get rid of it, do away with it. So all these dreadful, middle-class, doubtless Doctor Who viewers march through London demanding they get a say. But if you ask them, that's not what they really want. What they want is to stop Brexit, because they're the clever ones. All us leavers are very misled and very stupid and believe in people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Boris Johnson and Gove and David Davies. We're misled by those, unlike the paragons of virtue that are fronting the Remain campaign, such as Nick, I love Facebook me, Clegg. Oh, we'll talk about that after, don't fear. Tony Blair, the war criminal, wants us to stay in the EU. John Major, the Prime Minister we forgot that we had. And David Cameron and Theresa May. Oh my word, it's not good, is it? I'm sure Ken Livingstone probably wants to remain as well, just to add fucking misery on top of misery. So all these dreadful kale-eating balloons went marching through London, and Alistair Campbell, the man who helped us slaughter 1 million Iraqis, no reason whatsoever, says the people must be listened to. A march of this magnitude, this public showing of feeling cannot be ignored, which is quite ironic considering he managed to completely ignore the 1 million plus people that marched against the Iraq war. He paid no attention to that whatsoever, just as the media have paid no attention to the anti-austerity marches that we've had. In fact, anything that doesn't fit the narrative pretty much gets ignored, but the television was full of these people yesterday, all the ones that couldn't get off their lazy asses, couldn't prise themselves from their pristine IKEA sofas to vote in 2016, and now on the streets demanding old people not be allowed to vote or be euthanized, and we should give the vote to 16-year-olds because that makes sense because they got their whole lives ahead of them. I wouldn't let a 16-year-old choose which pair of trainers to wear in the morning, let alone who's going to lead the country. There we go. I mean, I've got every I've got every feeling, every inkling that we're probably not going to get a Brexit. I voted leave, obviously, the gammon that I am, the gammoning, but I've got a feeling they're going to take it away from us. They're going to deny us our democratic vote on account of us not understanding that Brexit meant Brexit. But the latest news is that they're trying to talk about a longer transition period. They've said don't panic, it might only be months, to prevent the backstop coming into effect, where the big problem is the border in Ireland. And the Republic of Ireland are making a very big deal of this because they're quislings and slaves and serfs to the European Union, of course. And the people in Northern Ireland just don't want the bombs and shit to start again. So I'm at a bit of a loss what we do about that. I think we need to ask Trump. Clearly we need to ask Trump what to do about borders, because he's really got it nailed down now, hasn't he? He's really got it nailed down. He's got them holding the is it the Guatemalans at the Mexican border, the south of Mexico, I think, because he's promised harsh retaliations if you let any immigrants through, any illegal immigrants. Harsh, terrible negotiations. Which is ironic considering he's not being ever so harsh to the Saudi Arabians at the moment. And we do have to touch on that because this is getting absolutely ludicrous. Let me just bring this up here with Khashoggi's murder. If you remember, originally he went into the Saudi Arabian embassy, as we know, the consulate a couple of weeks ago. Never came out. The Saudis said he did come out. Twitter was flooded with incredibly patriotic Saudi Arabians. You often get a lot of incredibly patriotic Saudi Arabians on Twitter, followed closely by the Turks, to be fair, but it was all a Turkish conspiracy against Saudi Arabia, and nothing happened. The guy left. Then they said, all right, maybe he died. Maybe he died, but he was in a fist fight. Because that's what you do, isn't it? You go into the consulate to sort out your upcoming nuptials and get in a fist fight with 15 agents brought in from Saudi Arabia. I know it happens to me all the time, to be fair. Any public building, I just end up in... And then, not just in a fist fight, he then apparently died whilst being placed in a chokehold. So yes, okay, we admit he did die in the consulate. We're sorry, he got in a fight with the 15 men, many of whom are members of the prince's security sort of detail. Got in a fight with them. Someone put him in a chokehold, probably just to calm him down a touch, and then he passed away. And, of course, what we did then is what everyone does when someone, has passed away. We don't phone ambulances. We just cut them into tiny little pieces, put them in bin bags, dress somebody else in his clothes, and hope we get away with it. Donald Trump has said he doesn't want to have too strong a response to this, possibly because of the hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars that'll be pouring in from Saudi Arabia to buy more weapons and more bombs to drop on the Yemeni people, who, despite their best efforts, haven't all died yet. So it's going quite carefully there, isn't it? Essentially, Donald has pretty much said he wants them to come up with a better excuse. So a bit of a B minus for Saudi Arabia from the Donald there, and they've been sent back to come up with something better. But clearly, it's nobody's fault. There was a chokehold, there was a bone saw lying around. Shit got real. These things happen. These things do happen quite often. Apparently, maybe. The fact is, they tortured him and chopped him into little pieces, didn't they? And I was sure of this immediately when I did log in online and see all the Saudi Arabian accounts screaming at me that it was just a conspiracy and there was nothing wrong with him. And he's fine, he's just quiet at the moment. And of course he is quiet at the moment because he's in about 14 pieces and scattered out in the desert somewhere in Turkey. Or the forest, or the oasis, whatever the fuck they have in the countryside in Turkey. I've got no idea. Obviously I've not been there. But he's gone. He's gone. He's dead. He was murdered by Saudi Arabia, who think they can do whatever they like because they've got oil. And I can't help thinking that, as we approach the days of peak oil and, not as many people are buying it because Elon Musk has finally figured out the secret to eternal life and perpetual motion, which I've every confidence Elon will do. I wonder where Saudi Arabia will be when we don't need their oil anymore and we don't really need their place in the Middle East. So, I've got a feeling that the chickens are going to come home to roost at some point for Saudi Arabia. All those little wars by proxy they've been carrying out, all the terrorists they fund, all those things are going to turn inwards. And as the leaders of Saudi Arabia have been enjoying public executions for many, many years, I would bet that if they didn't climb aboard their gold-plated private jets, they might find themselves in a public square somewhere with a gentleman standing behind them, waiting to give them a haircut of sorts. Definitely a haircut. Let's have a look how we're doing here. Apparently they have pine forests in Turkey. Pine forests. Thank you very much. And on Triggerist7982, who's over on triggerwarning.tv/live, thank you for illuminating me upon the vegetation of the Turkish countryside. Pine forests. He does say it's quite nice, except for the Turks. So, there we go. Crikey. Bob Stew says the border will be a shit show if it isn't sorted out right regarding the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, or the vassal state of the European Union. Bob Stew, tell me, what is the answer for the border with Ireland? We can't leave it open because of the customs union. Probably can't rely on tech. What do we do? I don't know. We can't put it in the middle of the sea because that cuts off the north of Ireland from the rest of the UK. Oh, it's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? It certainly puts us in a bit of a pickle. Smoke Steve says it's 110 billion America stands to gain from Saudi Arabia, which I imagine would make it, the American government all the more reticent to to telling the Saudis they're very naughty boys and stop killing journalists in your embassy this instant. Absolutely this instant. Happy Dog in chat suggests we just build a wall across Ireland. Across is probably a bad idea, isn't it? Because the Republic goes up the side of the north. Or are you being expansionist? Perhaps you're being expansionist. Let us know. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Or Graham says, build that wall and make them pay for it. That's the spirit, Graham. I knew I could rely on you. It's amazing. When I met Graham, he was very, very leftist. Real, lentil eating, love everybody. But it was bullshit. It was bullshit. It's because the people he was hanging around with, deep down, you've got no idea, and he's not here to interrupt me and to stop me saying, but guys, in the coming weeks, should I continue doing this podcast, I'll tell you a thing or two about our Graham. Don't you worry. Oh, yeah. Some things people won't be that keen on. I'll be straight with you. And on Trigger7976, referring to the wall across Ireland, says, should be quite cheap. I know an Irish builder. No. It borders the EU. It will be a Polish builder, which means it'll be cheaper and better. And you won't have to get the Path 3 tarmac either. Please, Hayden, stop going there about fucking Irish and the Pikeys. They get cross with you. Come on. Keep it together. One podcast. One fucking podcast, Hayden. Come on. I can do this. By the way, speaking of the Donald and his administration, as we kind of vaguely did, the Don is about to explode the internet. You know, gender's a big thing online. We discuss it quite a bit, and people are campaigning to allow other people to self-identify, despite the fact it's a tiny minority, and never mind what women think. And as I've tweeted and said on previous shows, this whole thing of trans activists telling women what's acceptable is actually peak patriarchy. The patriarchy doesn't come from us cis, white, gammony folks. It's the ladies in skirts and their fans doing it, telling women what to think and what to do. Instead of working for a compromise, they're trying to dictate to them. And they might get it in this country. Labour support the idea of self-identification where you can just decide, I'm a lady. And then, half an hour later after you've been in the changing rooms and had a sly wank, I'm a man again. Not that I'm casting aspersions on all trans people, that would be ridiculous and wrong, but there's going to be one or two, aren't there? There's going to be one or two. But I digress, and as you know me, I don't like to digress. The latest news from Washington is that the Trump administration is weighing a change that would require individuals to identify as male or female based on their genitalia at birth, tightening gender definitions that had offered more leeway to transgender and gender non-conforming individuals. The Department of Health and Human Services proposed in a memo obtained by the New York Times that government agencies adopt a definition of gender that is determined on a biological basis that is clear, grounded in science, objective, and administrable. So basically, whatever tackle you're born with, that's what you are. And yes, the argument would be, what about people who are hermaphrodites or intersex? They're a very tiny minority of people, and I'm sure they can be dealt with accordingly and in the most, practicable and humane way possible. Goes without saying. The sex listed on a person's birth certificate as originally issued shall constitute definitive proof of a person's sex unless rebutted by reliable genetic evidence. Apparently this change in policy would roll back protections for members of the trans community, affecting roughly 1.4 million Americans. 1.4 million? I thought there were more than that, considering the amount of people we see online talking about these things. I'm a little confused. Apparently LGBTQ advocacy groups are expected to oppose any formal proposal, and LGBTQ advocacy groups, people vaguely connected and people wanting to look really good in front of their friends, are actually going to completely and utterly lose their shit on Twitter. Now, whilst my beliefs on this is that we should treat everyone reasonably and decently, and if someone is a trans woman, it doesn't kill you to refer to that person as her, she. Treat them accordingly. Let women decide on who goes in their toilets and changing rooms. Let the women decide that, not us. Because you say, how would you feel if a trans man was in the changing room with you? I don't care, because that's different. I don't care because I've not got that fear of someone raping me. Whether reasonable or otherwise, it's a very real fear. And we can't belittle people's fears, especially when we tell people not to belittle our beliefs. So, treat everybody reasonably. Treat everybody with respect at all times. However, when someone is being a litigious prick, trolling this shit out of the internet in the benefit of their own issues, never mind any of that nonsense. Get on Twitter, fill your boots, because it's going to be fucking insane if this one goes through. It's going to be bananas, as young people probably say. I don't know. I'm 46 and it's very late and I'm quite confused. But we've got all that to come on Twitter, and I think that's going to be very exciting. I might even take a night off from annoying trophy hunters and Happy Dog on Twitter to see what I can come up with. I'm missing some fun things in chat. By the way, if you are listening to this as a podcast later, do join us if we record it live. Join us. It's me. Join me. I'm not used to Tuesdays. If I continue doing this, join us live. We'll post on social media when it's going to happen. I don't know if this is a regular time slot. I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore. I don't know much. But if we do, join us at triggerwarning.tv/live, where you can chat with famous people. People. Definitely people. Some people. Graham, he's there. And of course, Happy Dog, because Happy Dog's everywhere. No matter where we broadcast. On a Thursday, we broadcast to about 4 platforms now. He's there. He's there. I've not seen him comment on BitChute yet. But I'm sure that's only a matter of time. Right, let's have a look. Before we crack on to anything else, because I don't want this to go on all night. I was aiming for about half an hour. And if I managed that on my own with a little prep, I'm really quite happy. Trigger warning. Remember, we broadcast many days of the week now. Every Tuesday evening, we record the Trigger Warning podcast. That's with Graham Booth and myself. We record that at 10:30 p.m. UK time. If you can't join us live, that's fine. The first part of the podcast is released on the Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Then on the Thursday, we have the Trigger Warning live TV show, which is about an hour of me screaming obscenities shortly after complaining that I'm not really up for this and don't feel like it at all tonight. I'm not in the mood and we're not going to make it through an hour. Right up until Graham gives me the countdown, then I just promptly lose my shit. Then on a Friday, Trigger Warning podcast Extra Time is released at 8 p.m, which gives you everything we couldn't squeeze into the main podcast. Usually we record for hours. It's scandalous. Then on a Saturday night, we aim to release Thursday night's TV show on YouTube for you to watch again should you wish. And then if this carries on, we'll be recording the podcast on Sunday night, and I'll release this on Monday. That is, if we keep this up, a full week of triggering. A full week. And if you head to triggerwarning.tv, in fact, no, don't. I've got that wrong. Go to patreon.com/triggerwarningtv, and you can help support this project and get even more content. Get Graham on his webcam more, because that's always cool. And we want to make Tuesdays triggering, where we record the podcast live in the studio with Graham and myself and broadcast the video. If you'd like to help us fund the project and do more things, patreon.com/triggerwarningtv. Just sign up from $1 or more a month, whatever you're comfortable with. And you'll be helping us immeasurably to achieve the kind of viral malignancy that only herpes enjoys. That's right, and we promise we will never sell you soy-based cock-hardening products. You have my word on that. Unless we get offered a really great deal to sell soy-based cock-hardening products, in which case we're going to sell the shit out of them. But until then, no ads, no nothing, just loads of trigger warning. And of course, you can go and join social.triggerwarning.tv, which is our little social network where triggerists can hang out without, the oversight of our corporate masters from Facebook and Twitter telling you to be nice and to be reasonable and all the things they only tell people who aren't racist lunatics like Louis Farrakhan or, ISIS supporters. They seem to get away with a lot on Twitter. But if you're conservative, you're pretty safe on social.triggerwarning.tv. And if you're a leftist or a liberal, you are as well, because you won't get banned for being those things. You might just have an argument, but it's there. And if you'd like to join, just head over to the Twitter and drop a DM to @TriggeredTV, and we'll get you an invite code sent out immediately. Right, let's have a look here. Happy Dog says, my testicles would be flat as a pancake if it was 7 days of trigger warning. It very nearly is. This week, got this live tonight. I'll release it tomorrow. So it's not 7 days of absolutely new content, but it's 7 days of content. That's pretty scary, but we're going to see how it goes. And, of course, we are talking quite seriously now. After Graham is so enthusiastic to do it, and I've been so fucking difficult. The live recording of a Trigger Warning podcast, and I know what some of you'll be thinking. You do that every Tuesday. No. We're going to organise an event to be held probably in Manchester early next year. We'll limit it to a small amount of people. We'll ticket it just to cover the venue. Get all the Triggerists with us into a room. We'll hang out, have a couple of drinks. We'll do a podcast live with you guys in the room. It's audio, so you don't have to worry about anybody seeing your face and realising what a disfigured, dreadful monster you actually are. And we can make it really interactive. We can have a load of fun with it. We can do a special edition of Safe Space, which is where, you tell us what to speak about for a minute, any topic, and we have to speak about it as if we believe in it. If you're a patron, you'll have seen some of those videos already, because there are some on there. And we're looking at doing this sometime early in the new year, so we'll probably be trying to get some prices together soon. And you'll get a free badge if you come with, not a pin. Graham keeps calling it a pin because he's some kind of transatlantic twat. It's not a pin, it's a fucking badge. A pin is a small sliver of metal used to pin pieces of cloth together. It's a badge. Badge, not a pin. Stop calling it a fucking pin. I want it round with the pin thing on the back that goes through and back through the triangle-y bit. I want a badge. Proper badge. None of this fannying about with your nonsense. Fucking kids today. Let's have a look what else we've got here. Trigger 2018 says the only place where we can call Hayden an old slaphead whining twat and get away with it. Where do you get punished for that exactly? I don't understand why you'd be punished for this at all. What a strange person. But if it makes you feel better, yes. What else have we got? There's too much. I'm going to miss it all. I'm going to miss it all. I'm sure Graham will let me know. Happy Dog says you want a tramp stamp. Admit it, HH. No, I don't want a tattoo on my lower back. Not all of us take the cock of love. Happy Dog. I'm not judging you. You're free to live your life how you please. But not all of us need something for someone to read while they're knocking the back out of us. Not all of us. But if you do, that's fine. But it is tattoo day for me this week, actually. I forgot about that. The wife and I are going to get tattoos. Oh, that's on Wednesday. How exciting. So I should be all wrapped in cling film for Thursday evening, which isn't nearly as erotic as it sounds. It'll only be my forearm. Oh, I'm quite excited now. I've forgotten all about that. Oh, that's marvellous. So yeah, Trigger Warning live event. I think that'd be a huge amount of fun. My only concern for doing it was like, well, why would people come all that way just to sit with us in a room and talk shit? But, a lot of people have expressed interest and said they'd like to do just that. So that's what it'd be. We'd get there, we'd do a live podcast, do some safe space, hang out for a bit, and then we'll mingle. And obviously I won't touch, and don't touch me. That'd be very uncomfortable. But Graham will hug every single one of you. Like properly, proper, hips in, deep hug. That's free. That's absolutely free. And you can kiss him. Even on the lips, he's very continental about these things. He doesn't always like the tongue, but, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But Graham will definitely be there for you to hug and at the very least get a little peck on the lips. Off. And if you give him a peck on the lips and you have that string of saliva between you as you pull, brilliant. I think that'd be fantastic. So that'd be absolutely wonderful. That's 30 minutes. And as usual, there are loads of other things to talk about. Oh my word. Guys, at 30 minutes, I don't want to bore you with any more than that for now. Thank you so much to everyone that's turned up live to listen. I genuinely appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. And if we do like it, maybe we'll do this again next week. Until then, remember to tune in Tuesday nights for the Trigger Warning podcast live, Wednesday night podcast released, Thursday night Trigger Warning TV, which is awesome. Oh, I mean, the guy that hosts that. Suspiciously sexy for a man of his years. Really, really, really. For someone that looks like that, it's amazing. It's the pheromones, I think. Friday, Trigger Warning Podcast Extra Time's released. Saturday, the TV show is released as a replay. And then next Sunday, I might well do this again live around 11ish. Gosh, that's a lot of Trigger Warning. You must have done something terrible to deserve all this, guys. Right, listen, thank you so much for joining me. I genuinely appreciate it. And I've enjoyed this more than I thought I was going to. So much so that I've overrun. Cheers, guys. Speak to you very soon. You can fuck off now.